And I actually blazed through this book in a few days. You know,
It's out the thing.
Isaiah word powerful, boy. They shook the phone off the stand. Hey everyone, and thanks for tuning in for a brand new episode of Four Friends in a Book podcast. I'm Chris Colston, joined here with Isaiah Tukes, Kimberly Lake, and Laria Reed. So if you're new to the channel, Four Friends in a Book is our monthly podcast series where we have a discussion centered around a book that we're reading together, and we meet here to kind of review that book, topics that may or may not relate to it. So somewhat of a book club, book review, mixed with just table talk amongst friends. And of course, at the end, we hit you guys with these rants. So if you haven't already, please like, share, subscribe, share with a friend, family member, coworker, whoever you know. Just tell them about Four Friends in a Book podcast for a while. We'd love to hear from you guys. So leave us a review, slide in our DMs, give us a comment, any book recommendations you may have, any topics you want us to discuss here on Four Friends in a Book. We would love to hear from you guys. So hit us up. And we want to hear from you guys. So hit us up. All right. So again, Four Friends in a Book. We read books over here. The book for this month, classic book from famed author Zora Neale Hurston. We know about her. I mean, American Black author, kind of known for that Renaissance, Harlem Renaissance time period. And we're actually reading one of her most, I guess, famed or prominent books, Their Eyes Were Watching God. Mm-hmm. So, good book. If you haven't read the book, I'm pretty sure y'all have seen the movie. Oprah brought it to film, had Miss Halle Berry portraying Janie, had Michael Ealy playing Tea Cake. So if you haven't read the book, I'm pretty sure you've seen the movie because Halle Berry was in it. So let's get into discussion. Let's unpack it. Let's talk about it, and let's kick this thing off. So look, y'all already know my first question. I ask it every time. What were your overall thoughts, impressions? How did you feel about the book? What mood did it put you in? Like, what did you think about the book overall? And I'm gonna come to Miss Laria Reed on this one. I want to hear from you. What were your thoughts about this book, Their Eyes Were Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston?
Mm-hmm. I really enjoyed the book. It was very lighthearted, yet had a lot of undertones of seriousness. Mm-hmm. It was funny. As far as the way it was written, with certain instances, it was sad. It was a lot of breaks, but it was still good. I enjoyed it. I thought that it was well written. Of course, it's Zora Neale Hurston. I believe that the characters were well developed and well described, which is what I like, because it didn't really leave a lot for me to try to come up with when she described each character, and I like that. I liked the way she developed each one, and it wasn't rushed, but it was still, it was good. It was thorough, but it was just right. And I enjoyed it. I really did.
Okay, good. Quick question. Did you like the movie or the book better?
The book. Like, I hadn't seen the movie in a long time, but I don't remember it playing out the way it did in the book. And I was just kind of like, what? Like, oh, wait a minute, this is like different. It's like they took parts, as they always do. But I feel like it didn't do it justice compared to reading the book. So.
Okay. Yeah. All right, coming to my boy Isaiah, bro. What was your thoughts about this book by Zora Neale Hurston?
Well, my first start out with it, I didn't even know this book was into a movie, so this is all new to me just about it. After reading all the history surrounding this book, pondering the title, drawing up my own assumptions on what the nature of this message would be, I went into this book ready to be left underwhelmed because I normally don't gravitate to fictional books, but instead what I discovered was a masterfully well-written page turner, and her written words. After reading this book about, Janie and Tea Cake, they have become family for me because I was just so well into this book. The plot didn't do too much, nor were there any unnecessary character development that dragged on. And I don't think anyone else could have even given this story life besides Zora Neale Hurston. And I can't say enough about how impressed I was and how appreciative I was about reading her writings of the late legend. In all honesty, this was a really good read.
Okay, good summation of the books. All right, so coming to Miss Lake, Kim, what were your thoughts about this book? Their eyes were watching God.
I agree with my co-host. I think it was a great book. I actually went into it kind of hesitant because I've seen the movie and I didn't really like the movie. So I was like, this probably won't be a great book because of the movie. But the movie just didn't do it justice. Even in this casting, I was like, Michael Ealy ain't nothing what they described Tea Cake to be in the book. So that threw me off. But anyway, I thought it was a great book. Like Laria said, I thought the characters were well fleshed out. I liked that it was short, but it was a lot packed into it. So you didn't get like bored or tired of the book. It was like just enough, like just the right length. So I would recommend anybody read this book because it's a really great book. And I think you'll enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Okay, good. So I'm hearing that you didn't really like the movie, so I'm assuming you like the book better than the movie, correct? So yeah, good book, good selection. I thought I read it before, but as I went through it again this time, I was like, I don't remember none of this stuff. So of course I've seen the movie. Like I said, Oprah Winfrey production. She brought it to the big screen. Isaiah Brown, how you missing Halle Berry and anything? Like she plays. Yeah, she plays Janie. Michael Ealy plays Tea Cake. I definitely like the book better. So I listened on Audible, and on Audible, I was really blown away, man. So Ruby Dee does the narration of the book. Fame actress just does a great job. When you do the characters and the different voices, inflections, is always a good thing for me. So the book definitely covers a lot more than the movie did. So if you've seen the movie, it doesn't do it justice. There's a lot of things that are conveyed, a lot of different things that are carried out within the book that don't really make it to the big screen. So great selection. Of course, written in the kind of older time period. I like history. So the book was actually published in 1937. So the fact that we're even reading this book now, it just shows how it's a timeless classic. So thumbs up on my behalf. Good book. All right. So kind of talked about the book, talked about the movie a little bit. Let's unpack a little more as far as the content itself as you're reading the book. So were there any particular themes or major topics or talk points that kind of stood out to you as you were reading the book, as you were going through, or were there any moments where you really kind of, I guess, things were unpacked and unfolded for you, I guess, in this journey of reading? And so I'm gonna come to my brother Isaiah on this one, man. Did you identify or recognize any themes as you were going through the book that really stood out to you?
You know what? I actually recognize a lot of things. While race isn't important, it's just not overly political of how she actually written the words. The things about freedom and love are universal, but she also provides, like many insights into the different forms of oppression, particularly, of women and women of color. She explores, life in the Black community, showing all sides. I thought it was interesting when, Janie admitted herself that, she hated, that her grandmother just saw so much limited work worldview and just shape the experience of slavery. And then she couldn't even dream of anything more for her granddaughter than just to be married. Janie wants more from life. She was willing to risk everything, just to find, happiness. And it's ironic, after her second husband died, that she's found love. I find it confusing that they did do manual labor because T-Kate refused to live off her money. But I understood his stance. T-Kate's conversation, one thing that did throw me off with that was with his conversation with the other men about beating on Jamie. It was a little bit disturbing, misogynistic, but realistic, in those times, I guess. Throughout this book, Janie is defined by her marriages, but I just wanted to know a little bit more about her life after T-Kate died.
Okay, good. So Kim, coming to you on this question, were there any themes or major topics that kind of really as you're reading the book?
I think with Janie, it was her kind of battle between love and her like relationships and marriage, and then like her independence and freedom. She always was kind of battling that to me when I was reading it in the book, and how in the beginning, like her nanny, she had to kind of give that up because she was like, look, this is the life you're going to have. Like, you need to let all this love idea go and all that. Just let it go. This is your life. And her like settling that, even with her second husband being unhappy for like 20 years in a marriage, but just like putting up with it because that's what she thought she had to do. And with T-Kate, she finally did find that love she was always looking for, and she was able to have that freedom. But even when her second husband died, and even with T-Cake at the end, she still had that peace because she had that independence she always craved ultimately, or like finding her horizon, or like her ultimate or best life she envisioned for herself. So I think that stood out to me because Janie, I was like, oh, she's a dreamer. I just picked up on it. So I was like, yeah, her battle between like her freedom, independence, and love, or her ideas of love.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So yeah, good input. Good discussion on that. So coming to Rhea on this one. Maria, what were your thoughts about major themes or kind of center topics that kind of you recognize? Their Eyes Are Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston.
Well, I was just thinking from a woman's standpoint of how you were so reliant on a man. And I can't imagine that because of where, I was born in 1981. I wasn't born in the 20s or, the teens, because my mother got married, 16, 17, like that, and was relying on my grandfather. So, just to hear it in that standpoint is kind of like realistic to me. And I was like, what? So you got to go marry this guy, they put y'all together, and you basically just like leave to go with this other guy because you're trying to get love. She really wanted love. She wasn't really looking for, the guy with the most money. But her grandmother had good intentions because she was thinking, I want you to be well off. I don't want you to have to struggle. She was like, forget love. What's love got to do with it? But just the whole thought of how women had to do, it was like, Janie, go over here and do this. And she's, working in this store and can't stand it, but she's doing it because her husband told her that's what she's got to do. And it sounded like a parent-child situation, almost. And I was just like, man, that's rough. That kind of, it really makes me feel sorry for the character. And it made me reflect on women, especially Black women coming out of slavery, how they had to listen to whatever their husband and whoever you got married to or stuck with, depending on how the marriage was arranged, that was rough. That's rough.
An iMac computer, but you have a cell phone. Maybe you have an Apple cell phone. Leverage that to then create what you find important.
How do we make sure that our children, what they're learning, is positive?
Yeah.
Hey, let's check out this park. Oh, wow, that's really cool.
To find a great local park or forest near you, go to discovertheforest.org.
Insight about Money Matters 101 for the young adults, the young professionals, the young entrepreneurs. And I'd just like for you to share a little bit more about money.
Here to people who already have money, my opinion, okay? Already have money. This is assuming we are starting from scratch.
Yeah, that's good. And I think you guys all bring up good points. So definitely the whole thing about gender roles and identity, how there were certain concepts, especially in this time period. So again, the book was written in 1937. So of course she's written from that perspective. So you guys mentioned even nanny. So her grandmother basically telling her, look, I'm getting old. I need to make sure that you're okay. You need to go marry this man. Like he got land, he got, resources. I won't be here to do it for you. And so that kind of concept, and even moving forward with her, in her second marriage, so marrying was it John Starks? So Joe Starks, I'm sorry, and him to be like the mayor of the town. But at that point, you kind of see the whole dynamic switch, whereas now it's about her kind of being a showpiece and a kind of a prized possession, even with her long hair and then kind of, not doing any work. And even seeing some of the classism at that point, Joe is kind of wants to be around town. And so he doesn't want his wife or Janie to be kind of as accessible to people or whatever. So a lot of different things, a lot of different concepts and topics that are covered throughout. Even with her third marriage, tea cake. And at her getting into things that she may not have been doing before, she was a better shot than him. He taught her how to shoot guns, but she was a better shot than him. So just the mix up as far as gender roles and things that you would traditionally associate with certain things was kind of one of the main themes. Of course, the racial disparities, of course, we're talking about, early 1920s, 30 time period or whatever. So the racial divide was still very prevalent at that time period, and how we just had to just kind of showcase how things were and how we had to live as Black Americans at that time period as well. So a lot of good themes, a lot of good topics that were conveyed throughout this book. So, and I think you guys kind of touched on all of them. So good. All right. So talking about the overall perspective of the book, we done cover some of the major themes and topics. I kind of want to hear from you guys now, like favorite points of the book or favorite parts of the book or any quotable things. So just kind of those key moments for you that really stood out. I kind of want to hear that input. So I'm going to come to Kim on this one. Was there a key moment, a quotable or just a favorite part of the book that really you just liked and were kind of thrilled with?
My favorite part of the book is actually when her and Tea Cake were in the Glades or Everglades. It was lighthearted fun. She seemed like, she was really in love. They seemed like they were having the time of their lives doing this manual labor, hanging out with people after hours, all kinds of stuff. So I thought that part of the book for me was my favorite part because it just seemed really fun. Now, I did not like how he would be disappearing for like 2 days or a day. That was weird to me. But other than that, I just thought the love story that they shared there was really, it was cute. So I just really enjoyed that part of the book.
Okay. For me, so the funeral surrounding the mule was like a whole little, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was just a whole ordeal. They had this town mule that was didn't do any work, and the mule ended up dying, and they just made a whole big deal about burying it or whatever, and the whole town basically shut down. And there was also some symbolism, I guess, I think, with that as well, and some of the, I guess, kind of representation of even feelings. I mean, you're talking about the buzzards coming around, and it was symbolic. I mean, even the buzzards started talking, which of course is kind of some fantasy land or whatever, but really funny to me. But I'm a quote guy. I love quotes. So one of the quotes that really stood out to me was, "Common danger makes common friends." And so this was actually when they were leaving the muck or leaving the Everglades and trying to escape. The hurricane was coming. It was a discussion centered around the fact that like all the animals, the people were trying to get away because they were in danger. And so that quote was kind of in reference to the fact that that common danger of them all trying to escape, and black, white, animals were all trying to get away, but at one point, like everyone kind of came together because they were in this kind of movement to escape. And so that quote really kind of stood out to me, because you see that, especially with even now. I mean, certain things happen, natural disasters or just tragic events bring people together. And so, yeah, common danger makes common friends really stood out to me as a quote. So, all right, Loria, what about you? Was there a favorite part of the book, favorite quote, key moment that really stood out to you as you were reading this book?
Well, Chris, you came all in my lane and got my little favorite part. I'm like, nobody will have this one because that's my favorite part. But going back to the storm, I am like a Weather Channel person. And I always study like tsunamis and how like there was a group of people who had no internet or whatnot. And I can't remember if it's Indonesia, but all these other people passed away. And I was just like, how did they do that? And they talk about in this book how the Native Americans started leaving like a week before. And they were like, where are they going? Where are they going? And they were leaving because they knew that a storm was coming. And Janie even said, it's sunny outside. It's beautiful outside. What if you talk? Why are y'all leaving? And then eventually she didn't see any more. I think she said the Seminoles were leaving that area. And then she talked about how the animals started leaving. And so I'm thinking to myself, y'all, tea cake is like, this storm will be past. We done got through, the naivety of just, we're going to be fine. We made it through tougher things. You've never been through a hurricane. So just the underestimation of the weather and how vast it is, and just being naive. And she stayed with him. And I'm like, girl, you like my age now, because she was like, what, 40? And I'm thinking, you didn't tell this man the truth. Like, we need to go. And so, but she was just willing, she just loved him so much. She was willing to die with him, to do whatever it was to just be with him. So I guess that's the power of love. Child, I'd be like, you better come on. I love you, but I got to go.
So basically saying she was crazy in love, huh?
She really was. I mean, I guess she probably said, I've been in 2 marriages that I really didn't care for. I finally found what I want. And, if this guy is saying we need to stay, let's stay. And I mean, I can't imagine being in a hurricane and running and trying to get away from a hurricane. Like, that's crazy. So, yeah.
Yeah, look, when you see the snakes leaving, you definitely know it's time to go. Like,
it's time to go. I'm like, they had like 8,000 warnings. And then the dude came up in the car like, y'all just jump on in. They like, nah, go ahead. I was like, no. So, yeah.
Okay, good. All right, Isaiah, brother, what about you, man? Was it a favorite part, favorite story, or favorite quote within this book? Their Eyes Were Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston.
Chris, I think you actually rubbing off on me, because I'm now becoming a quotes guy myself. Resonated with from this book was some people could look at a mud puddle and see oceans with ships. And from what I gathered from that was, I thought that Janie, wants to see the world and all it has to offer. Despite how many times she got married, despite the failed marriages, she was still on this quest looking for love, but she may have found it in the wrong place places previously, but she did find it in the right place with TK. And I think for her that she understand that her journey was on the horizon, but just giving that opportunity for love and happiness that, you know, she wanted that thirst for it, despite what her grandmother tried to do to hold, not just say hold her back, but just to push her in a loveless marriage. She wanted more out of life, and she was on that thirsting quest to actually find love. And, you know, I'm resonating with Kim as well, too, you know, with that dreamer, like we can see look at the most abstain thing and just get the best thing from it. Like, you know, looking at a mud puddle and you just see the opportunity from that. And I just resonated with that as well, too. So that's, you know, why I gravitated towards that quote.
Okay, look, man, yeah, look, y'all getting too deep for your boy. I
like that quote.
That's good. That's good. That's good. So yeah, again, Their Eyes Are Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston. Great story. Like I said, published in 1937. It's just amazing that this book has stood the test of time, still, you know, very relevant and just a great read even today. I mean, things you can still pick up on. Like Laria mentioned, kind of a great just love story. Kim kind of talked about it as well. So a lot of different aspects, a lot of symbolism, ideas, and just thoughts to be really taken away from this book. So if you haven't read it, definitely pick it up. If you've seen the movie doesn't really do it justice. There's a lot of things that are covered in the book that aren't really conveyed in the movie. Like I said, my girl Halle Berry did a good job. You know, I'm always gonna clap for her, but
I'm gonna watch
You done said her name at least 7 times.
Right. I'm gonna watch that movie too.
And
Halle Berry.
You get it. Halle Berry's in the movie.
Yeah, but so yeah, good book. And if you guys haven't checked it out, definitely pick it up. Like I said, it's a timeless classic, written by a wonderful author. And of course, Zora's not with us any longer, but just a great story, great collection. And she's written some other pieces as well that you guys may want to check out. So definitely look into her and definitely pick up this book. So. All right, well, good discussion, guys. You know, I always like that. I like y'all input. I like to hear from y'all. You know, we unpacked up and we talk about this stuff. So, again, 4 Friends in a Book podcast. We read books over here, but it's not just about books. We have conversations and topics and discussions that sometimes relate to the books that we're reading, and sometimes they don't. So, right now, one of the buzz topics is really going on that we're kind of hearing about. Amongst ourselves in the news and the media is Roe versus Wade. So the Supreme Court has just overturned this ruling, almost been in place for 50 years now, back in 1973. So the Supreme Court has just overturned that. And there's a lot of discussion about the impacts of this. Not only just for this case, but even for other cases as well. And so I kind of want to have a discussion about that. You know, this doesn't really relate directly to that we've read, but since it is something that's really pressing right now, I kind of wanted to have a discussion that's kind of unpack on this topic and this kind of talk point. So I'm gonna come to my brother on this one. I'm gonna start out with you, man. What are your thoughts about this decision, about Roe versus Wade being overturned, and even what do you think the impacts of this?
You know, my thoughts of this decision was, I just think this issue was just wrong on every level. Like for 50 years, the GOP has been, you know, conquering and trying to actually get this overturned since it was actually since the Supreme Court actually signed this. You know, my thoughts is that, you know, the right to an abortion, you know, the right to even contraceptives and the right, all based on the frameworks of the right to privacy. It's all connected. There's nothing pro-life about endangering pregnant people by forcing them to seek unsafe abortions, criminalizing them, stripping them of bodily autonomy, forcing them to, you know, have children they don't even want or can't even provide for, and that a state that will not even help them provide for. And to make no mistakes about it, poor people are the ones who will suffer. People with means who will still be able to access abortions. And it's still going to be people without means forced to have unsafe abortions, and even having children they couldn't even provide for, that America would neglect, criminalize, and sometimes even abuse. And these political appointees that they just have in place, they are forcing these pregnant people to even have these children, but won't even lift a finger to help protect them. And I think they're just on wrong on so many ends. And this country, we just have to keep praying for this country and just keep fighting for these rights.
Do you not understand? That is the very reason why you don't need to say to a person that I love you. If you say I love you, you're saying that you're going to get all 12 of these from me. You're going to get me not having an active record and recollection. You're going to get my patience. You're going to get my kindness. You're going to get me bearing and enduring all. And if you can't give that to a person, don't say that you love them. Say I like you a lot. Say I have a strong affinity for you. Say I'm feeling you. I'm digging you. But don't you dare say you love them if you're not prepared to do these 12.
Even though we didn't grow up together, he's my favorite brother.
Hey, sis.
I'm the baby of the family, and he's the gentle giant.
What you know about Port Georgia?
Man, please, that's a classic.
You know when they say people are a rare breed? Yeah, he's that.
I'm sorry, I'll be back in a few hours.
Don't worry, Shug, you know I'm for you.
I know.
Go get the football.
That was my favorite memory. He was always for you.
True story of me, Bridget Floyd, and this guy, George Perry Floyd Jr., my big brother.
How do you see those boarded up properties and eyesores in your local community?
Opportunity. This one NACA property propelled me, and now I have 8 outside of this. So technically I have 9. I have 9 different. I got into the space of a landlord, of a homeowner. So without NACA, it wouldn't be possible.
Kim, what are your thoughts on this? So again, Roe versus Wade has been overturned by the Supreme Court here in the United States. What are your thoughts on that ruling? And also, what do you think the impacts may be?
So for me, honestly, I've heard about Roe v. Wade, but I never actually read up on the case. I just knew what it was about. So when it got overturned, I went down like a rabbit hole. I was reading the articles, I was researching, I was reading pro-choice, pro-life, like all. Me, I think at the end of the day, like abortion is just here to stay. Like it's not going anywhere. It's been here from the beginning of time. Basically, you had people back in the day boiling herbs and tea leaves to have abortion. Like it's just always been here. And when I looked at the statistics, it said by the age of 40, like 1 in 4 women would have had an abortion, and that's across the board. So wasn't like just white people, black people. It's pro-life, white, rich, like 1 in 4. So even with that, I kind of saw a little hypocrisy, because it's like at the end of the day, pro-life people, choice people, like everybody's kind of in the same boat making that decision. And for me, I just think women don't need to be demonized for it. Like I don't agree with the whole like sending somebody to jail for 10, I don't agree with that. Like Isaiah said, I think one of the videos I saw, it talked about how Texas had those abortion laws, and abortions went down, but it compared it to, I want to say Delaware. I should have looked at this before I came here, but I think it was Delaware, and Delaware had a bigger drop than Texas, but Delaware had a bunch of policies that would help people to afford to have children and all that kind of stuff. So that's why their abortion rate went further down. So for me, that tells me that it's a quality life issue kind of here in America, and that if you had programs in place and that you had to get pregnant and I'm worried about keeping my job, I'm pregnant in college, I don't have a supportive family, daycare, like having these quality of life programs in place, I just think that'll just make it better for women in general and a better life for people in general. And then at the end of the day, you still have a choice, but at least in that instance, you feel like you have equal choices instead of feeling like one choice is the only choice you have. So that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I think for me, I'm concerned about the precedents that this may be setting. So, of course, Roe v. Wade has been in place for a long time, and I definitely, whether you're pro-choice or not, I think as United States citizens, that's kind of one of our claims to fame is that we have autonomy, that we have the rights here within this country, that we're not under rule of some other a king or someone else that dictates, or a dictator that dictates how we operate within this country. And so the freedom of choice to me is kind of the foundation of this country. And so when we're now in a space, again, regardless of what you may think about that, and whether it's religious beliefs or whatever, we all should still have a choice and a right to choose based on what may be best suited for us in those moments. And so I can't walk for anyone else. I can't live for anyone else. So in that moment, you have to make the decision for yourself. And I think this has a huge impact as far as the autonomy that we would have, or that women would have, in this scenario. And so I'm also kind of concerned about the precedents that may be being set here now to even overturn other rights that we've been granted historically. So, I don't really understand what the motives are, the motivations. Like Kim mentioned, there are other means that we can, I think, critical parts to this puzzle overall that we have to address. And so I don't think overturning this ruling was the right approach to it. Again, ultimately, I think we should, as United States citizens, should all have, kind of rights to make decisions that are best for us. And I don't think anyone should have the authority to choose for us. So it's kind of my take on it, my stance. But like I said, I'm really concerned about the greater impact this may have, even in other areas. So.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Laria, what are your thoughts on this? Roe versus Wade being overturned after almost 50 years.
Any thoughts going through my head. I'm trying to hone it and bring it all the way in so I can say whatever, But I really feel that we always hear, I have the right. I got the right to have a gun. I've got the right to have this. I got the right. So it's like, where does the right start and where does it stop? Because if we're going to talk about children being killed, we just had mass in schools being shot and killed on a regular basis. Nothing has been done over the years. So we want to save children. How about we start there? That's a big deal, a big issue for me with the gun control. So I feel like it's hypocritical because it's like we have rights. What are the rights? The rights are what you like versus what you don't like. So we're going to pick whatever sin we want to pick out from a Christian perspective and hone in on that one and not cover all of them and not have a platform, something as Kim talked about. If you want to say, okay, no more abortions, okay, well, what are we coming up with to assist single mothers or mothers who would rather not have children? There's no plan. It's just, let's just go on and cut everything. And I don't think that that's right. It's like, and then you tell people, go get a job. Well, I'm making minimum wage. How am I want to get in the system? So how are you going to help me? There's no assistance. There's no help. It's just we're stopping abortions. And it's like, wait a minute, but you still, and my thing too is you still have a right to you don't have to have an abortion. It's there. That doesn't mean kind of like liquor stores on every corner. You don't have to go and drink, but it's there because you have the right to do it. And I think in the United States, we kind of made it, we pick and choose what we want to do. Say we're a Christian nation, but then enslave people for 400 years. We do this, it's like, it's so confusing to me personally. So I'm just over it. I feel like everybody needs to be voting. Everybody needs to be out here really being involved so that you know what's going on and not just hone in on a decision because it's your Christian right, but understand that need to be in place when you make these decisions. So that's my thing. You know, you make one decision, it's going to be 20 more that have to come along with it. And those 20 haven't been addressed. That's my problem with the whole situation.
That's good. That's good. You bring up a good point. Even the whole notion of pro-life, and so trying to establish when life begins. But I mean, we have the most incarcerated amongst all the countries. I mean, we have the death penalty here as well. So how, but not the other. So there are some contradictions. There's some things that need to be addressed across the board. And we talk about it often here on For Friends in the Book. Like, we have to exercise our rights, especially with voting, to position and put people in place that represent us and the ideals that we support. And so good points from all you guys. And like I said, it's definitely a hot topic right now. And so I kind of want to have a discussion about it. Yeah, because it's a lot going on. It's a lot going on. It still seems surreal that like this is us right now. Like I don't know. It's still crazy. All right. So just wrapped up this book, Their Eyes Are Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston. Talked about the book, just how we felt about it, overall kind of takeaways. We transition into having a discussion of Roe versus Wade and kind of the impacts and our thoughts and feelings about that. So you guys know what time it is. You know, it's rant time. It's our favorite time of the show. We have it every episode. My boy Isaiah Toots speaking from the heart. 60 seconds. You know, we don't argue. Just our time to vent. And so coming back to my brother once again, you know, he do it every episode. We never know what we getting, but yeah, one of our favorite segments of the show. So the rant coming again from Isaiah. So brother, the floor is yours. Give it to him starting now. Go.
I want to topic again. Brittany Griner is still wrongfully detained in Russia for more than 4 months because of a small amount of hash oil found in luggage. I'm wondering why it has been more demands for her release. She pleaded guilty to drug charges, but explained she did not intentionally break any Russian laws. Now she faces up to 10 years in prison for it. The longer she remains a pawn, the more her humanity is erased. She recently even wrote President Biden fear the other detainees, the other American detainees that are over there as well. You even have people speaking up like LeBron James and other NBA players to the situation, but too many other people have stayed quiet on such an important topic. We all should be calling for action, right? Your senators and representatives, encouraging them to pressure the Biden administration on Brittany's behalf. We must not forget about her detention and why she's even there. We are all Brittany Griner. We must repeat this until we have enough people and have enough grounds to bring her home. We are not free until all of us are free, and that is that on that.
That's good, brother. That's good. And so, of course, we've been following this kind of story and news on Brittany for a while. So, again, the trial's begun over there. So let's just keep her in prayers and just pray for her safe and quick return home. Like I said, it's unimaginable to think about, you know, a United States citizen being stuck against their will in another country and you know, people not doing what they could to try to bring her back home. So keep her lifted up in prayers. And like I said, let's keep her in prayers for her quick return back to the U.S. All right. So again, Four Friends in the Book podcast. We read books over here, and we want you guys to join in for our book of next month. Tell them about what we have coming up next.
Sure. Before we let you go, guys, we want to introduce our next book, Why Justice Sleep, by gubernatorial candidate Stacey Abrams. And you don't want to miss next episode. L'Oreal, please tell the viewers when they can tune in.
You guys can tune in every third Thursday of every month. We have a new book at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So make sure that you put your alarm on your phone and do what you got to do.
And you guys make sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're almost at 100 subscribers, so make sure you hit that subscribe button so we can reach our goal of 100 subscribers.
All right, guys. Thank you again for tuning in and rocking with us. We always appreciate your support for just following Four Friends in the Book. Let's learn, let's grow, and let's have a discussion here on Four Friends in the Book. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.